Hi, Sufia. Welcome to Essential Ingredients. I'm Justine Reichman, your host. I want to welcome our listeners and Sufia Hossain, our guest today. Welcome, Sufia.
Thank you so much, Justin. I'm so excited to be here.
Me too. I know it took us a little while to organize, but I think our listeners are very excited to get to know you, as I'm excited to learn more about you and Silly Chili Hot Sauce. And I know you were just about to tell me a little while ago that you were an artist, which I did not know. But I did remark that I love your painting behind you. Can you tell us before we get started a little bit more about this painting behind you? Which, by the way, we do have listeners on the podcast, so they cannot see this. So we need to be a little bit more explicit about it so that they can get a visual for it.
Sure. Behind the doors, a lot of people doesn't know. I'm an abstract artist. I do oil painting. I recently started working with acrylic. Yeah, it's very behind the closet. You know, unless you come to my apartment, you would never know that I paint. So yeah, this is something, one way of me having like a therapy session with myself. It really gives me an opportunity to be lost and in thoughts, and you know, it's like an artistic moment.
Where do you do your painting?
I do it at home. I paint it at home. My home is like basically a walking lab and a studio. That ways, and yeah, everything goes down in my home.
Well, Sufia, I got to share something with you too, and to our listeners. I too am an artist, abstract, and I do acrylic paint too. And I just started a few years ago. I do it in my garage though.
I would love to see your paintings.
I will definitely share some with you. I don't have any here at the moment, but I will share some with you. But I want to get back to you so our listeners can learn more about you and Silly Chili Hot Sauce. But I did want to, I'm excited that some of the people watching the video can see this painting. For others, just knowing that you're an artist, I think maybe can give us a sense behind the colors that you choose on all your labels. Yeah. And we could talk about the branding and all that stuff later. But I just want to take a minute for you to introduce yourself a little bit so our listeners can learn a little bit more about you and what inspired you to create Silly Chili Hot Sauce.
Hi, everyone. I'm Sufia Hossain, and I launched Silly Chili Hot Sauce. Well, I shouldn't say I launched because it wasn't really like an official way to launch it. It was more of like, oh, let me make some sauce for a Christmas gift. And then I was jarring it, creating this fake kind of label. And at that time, I had no idea. It was 4 years ago. Like, I would be running a hot sauce business full time. So,
are you an accidental entrepreneur?
Sorry?
Are you an accidental entrepreneur?
I am. Oh my God, I'm going to use that. Like, I am an accidental entrepreneur because I haven't been trained, or I never thought of, running my own business, to be honest. So a little bit of my background, I went to FIT, Fashion Institute of Technology in Manhattan, New York. And my last job before I quit, it was with Gap in merchandising. And I never worked in a restaurant. I love to eat, but I did not have no influence, well, besides eating part, but I did not grow up like cooking or making something. My mom never let me in the kitchen. And so, yeah, so I will shamelessly admit it, However, when during the weekends, I used to go to farmers market in Union Square and Hoboken, and I would like pick up peppers because they used to talk to me because they're so colorful. So it also relates to my life, my paintings and everything around me, just colorful, like a lot of colors are there, and like yellow, red, green, and I would pick them up like let's say a pound or a couple of pounds. And by the time I get home, I'm like, oh my God, I have so many hot peppers. What do I do with them? So yeah, like then I was YouTubing how to make sauce. And then it was so bad the first 3 months. Like it was disgusting, to be honest. And I was making and like pouring down the drain, like making, I was like, oh my God, like it's so bad. So anyway, something like, like I just stumble into my passion, like, but I was enjoying that process. Like I did not get tired, or I was just enjoying that. Like I could not wait, like, okay, Friday, Saturday, I'm going to the farmer's market. Like, I just waited for that weekend to come and then try it all over again. So as I was like doing that, and at some point, at one of my colleagues at Gap, she goes like, "Oh, I will pay for a jar," because I was giving her all these free samples for fun,
Right.
right? And I was like, "What? You're gonna pay me for this?"
That's the best compliment. Somebody wants to pay you for your product. That's the proof.
The thing is, in my entire life, I never sold anything, like something that I made, and
Right.
I never like sold anything to anyone. So I can never forget that day and the feeling I had in my heart, like, because I always had job, and then I got paid
Right.
for my skills and my time, but I never made anything and I sold it to someone. So I was inspired by that first $6 I made. And yeah, it started from there. Yeah, I did not stop.
That's amazing. And it's funny because I love when I hear stories like that, because I remember when I first, I used to sell lemonade when I was a little girl, right? Didn't you sell lemonade as a little girl at some point? I mean, I did. I don't know if you did, but my mom used to go buy what was it? The Country Time lemonade. Do you remember that stuff? There is all sugar in that. And she
Yeah.
used to buy the pink Country Time lemonade and the yellow Country Time lemonade. And then I'd have to get the lemons. I don't know. Somehow it did not work out. I mean, I think it cost her more for me to make it than I would make selling it. But I sold it for a quarter for a little Dixie cup worth of lemonade.
Oh,
And it didn't work out financially to continue to do this. But it was fun. And then, when I started as an entrepreneur, one of the things that I do is work with an accelerator called the Founders Institute. And some of the founders that come through, one of the things we do is we have them go out and see what people think of their product. Would they pay for it? Is it needed in the marketplace?
Right.
Other people than just your friends and your family.
Yes.
Because my family would buy anything I'm going to sell them, right? They think it's wonderful. They think it's the best thing since sliced
My
bread.
family's not like that at all. Quite the opposite.
Oh, your parents won't?
No, my family is like extremely the opposite. Like they're like, I'm north, they're south. Like they're not. Only probably like my aunt bought it, but everyone else, they mocked me. They're like, what are you doing? Are you nuts? Are you crazy? Like they never supported me, because yeah. So it was a lot of mental fighting with myself, and then kind of trying to fighting with the outside world there. So yeah,
that's so, because of course now we have two different sets of experiences, right? Your experience is very different than mine. Because if I was to go take this to my parents, they would, my mother would buy like 3, let's just say, or actually she'd want them all for free, but she'd be happy to buy them in the end, but she'd want them for free. She'd be like, just send me some, right? But the point is that we always tell people to go get outside people, go find 20 people you don't know that are unbiased, that won't say no because they like you, or, because they're your family, and won't say yes because they're your family. So that's the best indicator, is what we always say. And so it's so rewarding to be able to take your sauce in there and get the first person to buy it.
Yeah.
It's like that first, you ever go to the dry cleaners and they have their first 20 on the, right?
Yes. I mean, I still have a photo of her holding my jar.
Exactly. It's the same idea. It's the same idea. So when you first did that, so when you first sold that first jar, what were you thinking in your head? Where were you thinking you were going with this next?
Yeah, well, still at the time, I uh, absolutely did not have any plan nor any business plan, nothing that I would go into a food world, right? Because, you know, I have no training there, right? So when I was making a lot, just so organically, I was just following my, like, oh, I'm actually enjoying this, okay. And then I had this like stubbornness, like, okay, I'll get you, like, like the recipe, it wasn't delicious. I was like, oh, I'll get you one day, that type of stubbornness. Um, yeah, like, and then I had a bunch of like every single weekend when someone makes something, come on, like at some point I had like jars after jars of hot sauces, and I was like, oh my god, I need to like get rid of them. And then someone told me, oh, you should like try to sell it in the farmers market. Then I applied for a bunch of farmers market. No, everyone rejected me because I had like, it's like not a known brand,
Right, of
nothing, no
course.
social media, nothing. So, but one person, he was doing a flea market out of a garage in Brooklyn. And he goes like, okay, give me $50, give me actually $100 for 2 days, and show up and sell your stuff. And that's all, that's it. And that's
So I'm sorry. So a garage in Brooklyn. So is this like an like a
open garage. So it was, sorry, not garage, open parking lot.
parking lot? So like in like where in Brooklyn is this?
I believe it was
Fort Greene or something?
no, Bed-Stuy,
Okay.
somewhere there. Yeah.
Is it
And
like
I
where they
still,
have like the vintage like flea market or something?
no, it's not. It was like this like a open, he rents it on the weekends from the
Okay.
owner, open like a parking lot. It's not that big, but it has like graffiti and stuff, little bit artistic vibe.
Okay.
And yeah, like bunch of vendors were there, and so
Fun.
yeah.
Did you sell out?
So the first day I show up at 8 a.m., I believe, and it was raining and I could not set up till
No.
12. Yeah. And yeah, it was like I was so shy. I was like sitting behind the table and I never sold anything, like, like that. So I was like so shy, and like, people were just coming trying to test. I had like some sample for testing, and I was just observing them, but I was a shy person. It was very hard for me to like, um, creating something, founding something is one thing, and then going out there and trying to sell is completely different thing.
Right.
So, yeah. I did not sell out, but I sold good enough. Yeah.
So what did you do? Did you then get in front of the table and did you get a little bit more chatty and
So the first weekend, most of my coworkers at Gap, they showed up.
that's nice.
Yeah, to show support, few friends, and then that was fun because I knew them, right?
Right.
But to talk to strangers, it took me some time to get to that level,
Right.
by watching other entrepreneurs, other people, selling their product. So yeah, it took me a while. I was not there at first. Yeah.
I think it's a skill. It's a learned skill to get comfortable, to get out of that comfort zone, to
Yeah.
to
It's
understand
nerve-wracking.
how to. It's not natural.
Absolutely.
It's
No,
not.
it's nerve-wracking if you really think about it. Like I have been in corporate, it started very young in corporate. So it's like my comfort zone was like the meetings, then, people I knew and vendors, suppliers, but like completely out there, out in the open,
Right.
strangers, like, yeah, it took me a while. And something I learned from that experience is like, like But I'm like a pro at it right now. I have zero shame. I can go in front of anyone, everyone, and sell it. Like,
So what changed? Tell me, how did you go from 0 to 100?
I would say like -10 to 100.
So what changed and how did you get there?
um, at first, like, first few months, it was like a lot of like watching, and my other entrepreneur, like, the vendors next to me, they're like encouraging me, like, like, you can like talk about this, you can talk this, but because I used to just go there, set up my table and sit on my chair like this, like,
Oh,
I'd be like, oh, okay, so uncomfortable. Then what changed is like it changed with time. It was like with time and training and we have done so far over 1,000 events so far. We did so many events, like, in person,
right.
demos, trade shows. So it's just like now it's just so natural. Like I was like, oh wow, like I can be myself and also just talk to people. Now it's just super natural to me. Like it's not even pretending,
Right.
it's not even trying hard. It's just natural to me. I really enjoy that part now, like talking to people.
Was there something that changed for you? Was there a moment in time that all of a sudden you realized, okay, I got this?
Yes, I would say that. Yes. So as I was doing like bunch of markets one after another, the feedback from customers were phenomenal. It was that was the biggest encouragement to quit my job, and like one of the biggest encouragement to quit my job and pursue this. And the like I would say like 10 out of 10 customers, like face to face, or even they didn't buy right away, but they would taste all my recipes and it's like, oh wow, like you made this, like it tastes so fresh, like we can taste like all the ingredients that you put is so fresh, it's nothing like other hot sauce. So those comments like really pumped me up, kind of like, all right, yes, like like I got comfortable with those type of like that environment and so many good positive feedback. Yeah.
So what would you recommend to other founders as they're going through this process?
um
They're uncomfortable as they
yeah,
start to get out there.
yeah. I would say when you start, if you're uncomfortable, you're uncomfortable. Be okay with it. Don't beat yourself up, right? And then as you go, it's a journey. Enjoy this. Like, it's a journey. One, maybe you're uncomfortable. Second one, we're like, okay, let me talk to 5 people at least. Let me talk to 10. Like engaging with people. Like I feel like this is journey, right? Like you can't be a professional overnight, right? Like with anything. So definitely like push for it, but don't like give yourself a break and then go. Yeah.
Right. I'm just going to take a pause for a minute. We're going to have a little announcement from our sponsor.
Essential Ingredients is powered by NextGen Chef. NextGen Chef is a movement that supports food and beverage entrepreneurs around the world by fostering a sense of community and providing its members access to mentors and a wealth of resources and guidance. NextGen Chef feeds members with the knowledge they need to build better for you food and beverage businesses so the world can have greater access to healthier food, comprehensive food education, and increased affordability. If you like what you hear on this podcast, continue the conversation or ask new questions on the NextGen Chef app, available in the Apple Store and Google Play. Follow NextGen Chef on Instagram, LinkedIn, and Facebook at NextGen Chef. Join NextGen Chef and let's change the future of the food industry together.
I want to welcome everyone back while we took that pause from our sponsors. Welcome everyone back. Welcome back, Sufia, sorry about that. So I'm loving all these nuggets that you're sharing with us. And I hope that our founders that are listening are writing these down or just taking it all in, because it's so great. I feel like I'm on this journey with you as you're sharing it with us. And I think that that's a great way for anyone to take in some of this information, because it allows, I feel like we're right there together. And as I can remember myself, the first time I was asked to do a speaking engagement at Pace University in New York.
Oh my God.
And
Ooh.
I was this girl in like school that would never raise their hand. And I would never speak up in class because I always thought I was wrong and I didn't want to speak up. And when Pace University called and said, can you speak to this class that we have? I was like, of course. It was an organization. And all of a sudden, after I said yes, I was like, oh my God, I don't like to speak in front of people. I'm terrified to speak in front of people.
Yeah.
So I had to find a coach to teach me how to speak in front of people. And so that I don't get too long-winded for both our listeners and for you and put everyone to sleep, the nuts and bolts of the story was that this coach taught me how to create some notes so that I could connect with the audience, not have sentences written out,
Yeah.
but be able to make sure that I hit my points and be able to engage the audience. So I'm all prepared. I go down to Pace University. There's about 100 people in the room. I'm so nervous. My palms are sweaty. I'm a little nauseated. And I get there and there's a podium. Now, none of our listeners know this. You don't know this because for those watching this, I'm only 5'1". And for those listening, I'm 5'1". Even if I'm wearing heels, because of course I'm in New York, so I probably have 3-inch heels on, that makes me 5'4" on a good day, which means that I can't see above this podium, which is a really big problem because there's no step for this podium. So where am I supposed to put my notes? So I had to abandon the notes, abandon the podium, and now I had to go without anything. So here I am on this, at this, I'm supposed to give this talk and I can't have my notes and I'm already nervous. So what I did, the biggest takeaway that I got from her was ask the audience questions. I asked the audience questions and that hour went by like hotcakes. And it was engaging and it was fun and it was participatory and it allowed me to communicate what I was doing, but also allowed them to participate. And
I love it.
It was not as scary as I thought. And it was so much better. So I share that while you were sharing yours because that was how I got through mine.
Yeah.
I was terrified.
Thank you for sharing that, Justin. That is, that reminded me one skill that I use in every single meeting, every single event, and is basically I compliment someone and I'm a big on complimenting. Like that's my thing. Like I have to compliment people.
I thought I was special today when you told me you liked my glasses and my hair.
No, that's the thing. Like I have to start with a positive compliment. Like, your t-shirt looks super nice. Like, where'd you get it from? It's nothing fake. I'm a very genuine person, but I feel you. I think that reminded me like what I do. Actually, a few of my friends, they pointed out to me that because that's why it became so natural that engaging with people start with their common interest, right? Like they have a bag you like, or they're walking with a dog, or there's also cute, like, or they're walking with a book or whatever, like you can always pick up something that you can talk about with someone, and always start with I would say a compliment, because that can lift up someone's day. It doesn't matter who that is, your neighbor. Yeah,
I would agree. So I just wanted to share that story with you folks, because I think that, while it really resonated for me when you were talking about that, because I too was shy. I too didn't want to raise my hand when I was in class. So I could see, I was visualizing you behind there and thinking you were uncomfortable. It was probably not really approachable for people to come up to you because you felt uncomfortable, right? Because we know when other people feel uncomfortable. So I felt the same way when I was going to give my speech. So but I do want to talk more about Silly Chili Hot Sauce, and I want to learn a little bit more about what your big vision was and what you were trying to have as an impact within the future of food. So if you could share a little bit more with us about that.
Yeah. So when I, up until now, this story, it's like I'm just doing this to get rid of my extra inventory that I had been doing. Then what made me quit my professional job that was paying my bills, my, everything, and jump into this path that is like jumping from a cliff with my eyes closed and hoping that I would fall on my feet, you know what I mean? And so what I noticed is, like, as I was going to the farmers market and talking to the farmers, and they're, next to them, like for like half hour, 40 minutes or an hour, just hanging out with them, right? And then they used to share like a lot of stories with me, like the stuff they're going through, crops getting bad, or the weather issue, labor issues, so many things, right? And I was like, oh wow, like I never really thought about this way, like, right? Like, because I live in the city, we go to the supermarket, we find everything we need, and we come back. I never really thought about that logistics side, like who is growing my food, who is like transporting it, a truck driver, who is like selling, like all these things. I never really thought about it, right? Like, so, but that kind of made me, that engagement with the farmers who were working in the farms, like it kind of like led me to thinking, like, oh, okay, yeah, wow, like you guys go through so much, and and I complain about being inside an office, the really nice view. If it's raining outside, I'm not getting rained out, but I'm still complaining from inside, so it's just this realization. And then as I was like going deeper, and then at some point I was just started doing research, like the farmers, like how much suffering they were doing, like all over the world. It's not only in the US, all over the world. The amount of like they don't get paid enough. So many things are going on right now. And then I was like, okay, how can I help them through a project, or how can I help them first? That was my first thing. How can I help them? It was like, okay, first I can just buy from them. Then I was like, how can I help them in a bigger way? Right? So that's when I was like, wait, like I can like make something and package it, and I buy it directly from them, and I package it and I sell it to the consumer. And looks like the consumers that I've been meeting every single weekend, strange people, they're like loving my recipes, right? So that was like boom, that was like yeah, that was like okay. So from now then I kind of started like doing all the work that needed to get done, and then I like started thinking about, yeah, this is what I want to do, the silly chili hot sauce, and then started working on the label, like all the good stuff, like really started researching on
to make
every
it, to make it
to make it like a commercial business. Yeah,
right.
commercial business. Yeah.
Right. That's exciting. And so what are your plans now for the future? How are you dealing with the standards of, the clean label, and while keeping it, accomplishing a stable, shelf stable and authentic flavors of the silly chili?
Yeah. I just want to say, clean label is so easy to do. Basically, you are going back to basic, right? Going back to basic. It's not that hard. It's like ingredients from the earth, direct from the farm, right? Wash it, cut it, and like cook it, and then serve it to the human. Like it shouldn't be that hard. Like and for my product, and it's like I use organic apple cider vinegar, salt, and the amount of time I cook, so it like self-stable for many years. So, and the way we bottle it, I would say, hey, eating clean, it's not hard. We just make it hard because it's so many crap out there, and it's just, I think it makes me upset. Like it shouldn't be that. It really should be so simple. Yeah.
I agree. I think the challenge is when you leave your home and when you go outside to the market and you buy packaged goods, because some of the packaged goods and the consumer product goods really do
Oh,
have too much stuff in it that we just don't need.
no. No, that's the part I don't get. Like, like companies like Goya, like other bigger companies, like you guys are big. You guys can come up with like innovation, or you have like your own facility of production. You can produce night and day. So like come up with something that it can be shelf stable without all the stuff they're using. Like, you know what I mean? Like they have that funding to like do that for consumers. So yeah.
I would agree. I would agree. So is there a CPG hot sauce? Is CPG hot sauce a viable market? What's the market like today for the CPG hot sauce?
So it's actually really, I don't know if you notice, I mean, I'm gonna start with like a spicy level, like every single food chain adding a spicy version of sandwich, every single one. Like you'll hear McDonald's, Wendy's, like, so the American consumers, their palate has been changing, like they're craving for spicy stuff. So with that, the hot sauce market has been increasing. So there's a lot of growth in this market. And people love spicy stuff. Not only that, like people cook with it,
Yeah.
And USA is like, melting pot, especially New York City, like, California, melting pot for so many culture, the whole world. So yeah.
So you think there's a lot of growth opportunities here?
Yeah.
What do you think some of the challenges are for people in this space right now?
In terms of like challenges, so the customer, if you think about like, okay, how do I get a customer, right? Like the customer acquisition the cost of it is very high. It's like, if you I'm talking about as entrepreneur to entrepreneur, it's like, unless you have a lot of money, it's really hard, because here there's so many competition, hundreds and thousands of brands, good brands, local, international brands, trying to get shelf space. Mm-hmm. So those are the main struggle right now, because the way things were 20 years ago, it's not like that right now. Right. 20 years ago, we didn't have all these brands, we didn't have all these options. Mm-hmm. So the cost of customer acquisition has been gone up a lot. So that is the most challenging part. Like, how do I continue to sell my product and profit?
Yeah. Can you share 3 to 5 tips as a better for you food entrepreneur, perhaps from a marketing perspective for some of the founders that we have listening?
Yeah. So one thing that I'm just going to share from my own personal.
That's perfect. That's exactly what we want.
And then before anything, I do want to share, I'm a bootstrap founder. I'll be raising capital soon, but so far I've been, funding on my own and from the business, and because I wanted to make sure that my concept will work before I take on anyone's capital, so and now I'm like 200% sure it's gonna work. It's so I'm like much more wiser now, because I had to learn, right? A brand new for me, right? So a few tips would be, what worked for me is building and nurturing relationships. And I never saw, since day one till now, I never saw anything or anyone transactional way. Like, how should I say that? It's like, for me, everyone is human. Human comes first, right? Mm-hmm. Human comes first, and then everything else. So with that in mind, it's like, you just have a great energy, you're doing great stuff, and I'm like attracted to that, right? Whether you invite me to your podcast, it doesn't matter, but it's just, I support what you're doing and I want to maintain that, right? Like, and so that's how I've been building my relationship with like people, And that got me to, here, where I am right now because when you're building a brand, it's like you need a village, you have to hire a village, but
Right.
I can get a lot of stuff done, and it's the favors I have done for people without, thinking though I'm going to get something back. It's not like that. And, selflessly, I have done stuff and it came back, always came back. And so that one thing is focusing on building and nurturing relationship. Another thing would be, what would be another thing? Solving problems, because right now we human created so many problems on this earth. I feel like new innovation, it's like so much innovation going on right now. So I feel like we need to just pause and step back and go back to basic, like let's go back to basic and be like, okay, how can we, like, instead of like, oh my God, new, but how can we like pause and kind of really understand what are we doing? Like every single thing we do, it impacts our neighbors, not only ourselves, our neighbors, our family, friends, the earth, it just spreads. So being mindful about whatever your project is, whatever your food item is, right? And that would be my, my 2 cents is like create something that would be wholesome for human body and the earth. Yeah.
I love that. I love that because part of the mission of Essential Ingredients and for Next Gen Chef is to build a better food system or support access to information so that end consumers and businesses can make more informed choices so that we can have greater access to healthy food.
Yeah.
And that's the overall mission. So
yeah.
I mean, you are exactly who we're hoping to bring in here to be able to share your recipe for what you're building. I don't mean the sauce. I mean your story.
Yeah, totally. Another thing I want to share is I am so deeply passionate about agriculture. Since I started my journey with this, hot sauce is just like, like an item to me. But it's the fact that I'm super passionate about learning agriculture, all of that, because based on the research right now, I believe we only have 59 or 58 years of harvest season left in this earth. So I just want to encourage everyone to be like mindful about whatever they're creating and packaging, however they're packaging. I'm also not there the way I want to be with my packaging, sustainable packaging and good for the earth. I'm not there. It requires like, some sort of funding and capital to pursue that route. I just want to like throw it out there. Like if you can be mindful about your packaging as well, whatever you're doing. Yeah.
I think that I love your story, Sufia. I love everything that you're working on. I think that your story is really inspirational and aspirational, and your mission is just nothing short of something that I think would inspire any number of people that are building a better for you food business. From soil to shelf, right? From agriculture to getting it into a sustainable bottle and packaged. So you've got the whole thing down. Now all we need to do is share those resources, but maybe we can do that on another day. But before we do close out, I would love for everybody to know how they might be able to find Silly Chili hot sauce.
Mm-hmm.
And before we do close out, I'm just curious, how did you come up with the name?
Oh, I'm a very silly person. I make a lot of jokes all the time. Even if I'm dying in the corner, I'll be making some sort of humor, like or laughing or giggling. So it's basically one of my friends used to call me, "Oh, silly," because I would make like silly jokes all the time, and uh, and then it just started from there. Like I was like, when I was trying to come up with a name for my sauce, I was like, oh, what I'm gonna call it? Chili Silly. I was like, no, actually Silly Chili. So very organic. I did not hire any marketing agency to do any of these stuff. And I it's just my personality kind of out there, the
I
name.
like it. I like it. Well, as you were saying it, as we were talking about it, it just dawned on me. I was not sure how you had come up with it, and it's part of you. It's part of the story, and to your point, it's organic, just like the rest of the business, and just like everything you've built. So, I love that. So, we've been in this pandemic for now almost what, a year?
Uh-huh.
And you've been building your business, and I'm sure COVID has had an impact, and we haven't even touched on that. Um, so there's so much we can talk about, but
Mhm.
would love to just hear, do you have a pandemic recipe that you've been using these with that you can share with us?
Like
Is it
recipe.
something that you've made with it that you love, that you've been finding yourself using your sauces with, especially?
Oh yeah. Oh my God. Oh my God. So I've been cooking home. I've been cooking every other day, and whoa, I have gotten better. Like first time in my life with like, making food. I'm like, oh wow. And I've been cooking with I do cook with my sauce all the time. Like my mango sauce, sweet pepper and mango. It's not spicy. It goes on with salad, chicken, and I do like few days out of a week vegan. I go vegetarian and plant-based. And then I saute my veggies with my serrano and chipotle, which actually won a first prize a few months ago. Yeah, that was,
Awards
yeah,
or Good
sorry.
Food? Was it at the Good Food Awards or?
No, it was a sauce work.
Oh,
Yeah, it's something in New York, and it's been sold out since then. I mean, it's crazy.
amazing.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, it's crazy how our e-commerce has been gone up a lot, and the habanero, it goes with pretty much, I call it pick me up. It's like if I'm like, you know, I don't want to drink coffee middle of the day, I'll like add it to my rice or pasta. Yeah,
Oh,
my sauces are so flavorful and thick. It's so much I do with it, so much. Yeah.
so now, where could our listeners find your sauce?
Sure. You can find us on Instagram, Facebook. It's called Silly Chili Hot Sauce, SILLY hot sauce. And our website is www.sillychilihotsauce.com. We are on Amazon. Yeah, like for retail, we're on Amazon, and then nowadays everyone orders
Okay,
online.
but most importantly, for those listeners that have listened to this whole podcast, is there a special that they can access?
Oh yes, yes, yes. So I would so I'm giving away this code. It's 20% off for only for your listeners, for
Ooh.
your listeners. Yes. So the code is Next Gen Chef, NEXTGENCHEF, and you'll get 20% off.
Thank
Yeah.
you, Sufia. That is so sweet. So, Sufia, thank you so much for joining us today. It was great to learn more about you, about your artwork, about Silly Chili hot sauce, and
Yeah.
so much more. And I want to thank our listeners for joining us. And if you like this episode and you want to hear more and hear about all these new inspirational founders and thought leaders changing the future of food, don't forget to download Essential Ingredients with Justine. It's on all the channels from iTunes to iHeartRadio to Spotify,
Ooh,
etc.
wow.
So don't forget to download and subscribe. We are here every week Tuesday with a new episode. that comes on at 6 a.m. And if you're listening to this and you're not a member of Next Gen Chef, please do download the Next Gen Chef app. We have it for iOS and Android. It is a complimentary app where you can connect with thought leaders like Sufia and other founders in the industry. Each one of the podcasts are available there, and you can connect with the guests as well as other people in the industry. You can check out old conversations. You can connect with other community members via text and email. It's a great way to connect with people in the food business that are building better for you food businesses. Again, it's the Next Gen Chef app, and it's complimentary for those listening to this app right now. So I hope you guys will join us next week for our next podcast, and I hope to see you on the Next Gen Chef app. And if you do come to the app, please look me up, send me a note, let me know what you want to hear from, what you want to talk to us about. Thank you again, Sufia, for joining us.
Thank you so much. You're killing it, Justin. You're killing it.
To find out more about this episode of Essential Ingredients and access show notes, check out Next Gen Chef and choose podcast in the menu bar. If you like this episode, head to iTunes or Next Gen Chef's YouTube channel to subscribe. Learn more about Next Gen Chef, the platform that powers this podcast, by checking out our website, or visit us on Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn at Next Gen Chef. You can also check out my Instagram at Justine_Reichman. If you have thoughts about this episode or future episode ideas, leave us a comment at Next Gen Chef's YouTube channel or drop an email at team@nextgenchef.com. Thanks for joining us.